Oh, Palantir has finally given us a healthy pullback. I want to talk about it today. Why that is an opportunity for you to buy more shares and potentially pick up the dip if you do trade options contracts back to the upside, or do we have further down if we lose $100 per share? We'll talk about it here. I'll get you in and out. Thank you so much for being here. If you're new, welcome to the channel. My name is Dr. B. I'm a holistic life and business coach and strategist for entrepreneurs, trader in the options and futures space. I've been doing it for the past 6.5, going on 7 years. 2017. So I have traded a Trump market before. It's been very volatile up and down. We've got tariff news. We've got new all-time highs for the SPY and the S&P. We've got just things going on all over the place. We've got extreme dip opportunities for a lot of tech companies, which reported some iffy kind of earnings. Palantir going through the roof. And anytime there's these healthy pullbacks, especially for my newer investors, we want to make sure that on the charts, we look where those buying opportunities are, because you do not want to be scared out of your position. Like, is it going to tank? Is this it? Was that the high? All those kind of questions we want to go over today to give you more confidence in the upside of Palantir and also the overall market. All right. Without further ado, let's jump into it and let's get up out of here. You can see here that S&P futures inched lower after some index notches fresh all-time highs. So we did close all-time highs today on the SPY, but we did have some after hours downside, which again, right, we're kind of on the iffy edge if we can truly hold all-time highs. So I'll show you on the charts what that looks like. But today, the news and what you clicked on this video for more specifically is Palantir. We have a lot of shareholders out there. We have a lot of people that have been chasing the highs above 100 after their just blowout earnings. And I told folks, not only inside of my Discord community, but I have mentioned it here. I have done a previous Palantir video that anytime a company, and you'll see it on the charts, why savvy investors know these days will happen is because it was super overextended on our relative strength index, our RSI indicator, as well as there's always going to be a black swan event, right? A news article, very similar to kind of how Amazon and Bezos, a CEO will start to offload some shares and will scare retail investors out of their position, right? And I want you to be aware of those things that will happen and why I recommend the technicals or the charts to tell the story of when this might happen. All right. All that being said, Palantir plunges after CEO Karp changes share sales plan, and the Pentagon actually had a budget cut report. If you did not know, read on Palantir. A lot of ties with the military, a lot of ties with federal government. So the drop followed a report by the Washington Post that Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, has told top Pentagon brass to prepare to cut the U.S. defense budget by 8% each year for the next 5 years. So if the defense is paying Palantir and they're working together, or vice versa, they are collaborating together, right? And Palantir's financials, revenue, growth are based off of the spending that is continuously happening, funding into their growth in AI projects and things of that sort, then that is going to affect Palantir in some sense, which you saw that roughly 10% pullback today in one day. Palantir is best known for its contracting work, providing software and technology services for defense agencies. So you see the tie-in, especially for my people that have been wondering what Palantir is. There are still people out there that do not know what this is. All right. So I'm talking to everybody here. 12% Wednesday after this news of his new stock trading plan, best known for contracting work. There you go. You can read on this. You're more than welcome to look it up and type in this particular title. All right. Now, where I love to show where this will happen is on the charts. Okay, so let's jump into Palantir here. And I want to show you how you can look and predict potentially when these drops will happen. Okay, I have a couple of kind of check marks, and we'll see in our Discord. I mentioned it yesterday. If you're a client of mine or inside of the Leverage University Discord, where we have our life, our business, our financial acumen and resources, and our trading floor. And you're more than welcome to check that link down in the description. First indication is I typically am looking on a weekly, monthly, and daily chart. Okay, weekly, monthly, and daily chart. And what I'm looking for is this RSI indicator, which you can turn on Robinhood Legend. You can also turn it on your TradingView charts, and you can turn it on Webull, which is what I prefer to use personally for my charting. All right. The RSI is telling you when things are overbought, okay? Overbought, meaning there's too many cooks in the kitchen, okay? It needs to cool off. Overbought, let me shrink myself a little bit here. It typically wants to reside in a range of 30 to 70. Now, it is not always going to be perfect, disclaimer, but it is an indicator that these days will happen very soon if you start to see these things arise. So you see here that it kind of gives you a caution zone. So you see it's above that 70, starting to get into 91 on a monthly. The higher the time frame that RSI is either overbought or in this case oversold, there's going to be more drastic of a reaction. All right. If I go into a weekly, I also see that it's overbought. Right. If I go into a daily, it's also overbought. I'll show you here on a daily, which is a little bit more confirmed. Every time it got up here around 79 or 80 on the RSI, I want you to look what happened to the stock when it got to those levels. 65 drop next day back to 58. Now you don't know the massiveness of the drop or the news that will come in out of nowhere, but it will happen. Look at this. Came back up to around 80. Super overextended, quote unquote. It doesn't mean it's a bad company. Obviously, it's Palantir. It's been doing well, but it does mean that you have to be prepared for those big, massive staircase up, as we call it, elevator down. It can literally give back the whole move. Okay. There we go. Up to 80, right back down to 68. You see that RSI. Same thing here. Got a little bit overextended, didn't get up as high, all the way to 84 and dropped significantly once it broke this trend line all the way back to 63. So that's about a $20 drop. Okay. And you can see here that Palantir, after its really good earnings, it got up here on this RSI again. Okay. So with that being said, this was inevitable to come. Whether it was a news event, whether the market crashed, whether Trump tariffs, something. And in this case, that budget cut from the Pentagon affected the defense. So it was going to directly affect Palantir while the market was spurring higher, right? And you also see it correlated perfectly with the overextension on the RSI indicator. You see, anytime someone starts to get this, if they're a new kind of investor, maybe you've been investing for a while, but you never really looked at the charts. It's like that next level of aha moments. If you're a savvy investor and you're a trader and you know these things, you know this stuff like the back of your hand. I'm just reminding my new folks. This is how we understand what's coming pretty soon. Okay. So I look for overextensions and I also look for oversold levels, right? Overextensions, meaning overbought above 70 into the 80, 90 on a daily, weekly, monthly time frame. And I know something's coming soon. If it's oversold, right, on a 4-hour, daily, weekly, monthly level, I know that it will rebound pretty soon if it's a solid company. Okay. That means buy the dip up. So if you look here on Palantir, on a 2-hour and a 4-hour, you see it's kind of oversold. So there should be a nice rebound pretty soon, probably at about $100. Oversold here on this RSI. Okay. You see there starting to get in this caution zone. And if I look on the charts, where is the next big support level? Typically is going to be a psychological level, meaning a round even number, $100. So we should see some buyers step in at 100 to try to protect that $100 level. Now, does this mean Palantir is done? Not necessarily. Do you see this light gray area, which is called a gap? Okay. Gaps typically like to get filled at a certain point in time, sometimes immediate, sometimes over a span of time. This is a news gap from their earnings. They had earnings right here. Overnight, it gapped up and continued. Typically, what you see is that gap gets filled. Okay. Like that. I'll show you what it looks like on Lululemon after their earnings. You see this gap that was produced on Lululemon earnings. It consolidates for a while, pushes it up a little higher, and then eventually news or something comes in, or it breaks a level and it just immediately drops and fills that gap. Okay. So same thing on Palantir is how I'm getting where Palantir is probably headed to and where a good buy level would be. So the first buy level that you may want to pick up some dips or consider trading it is right around $100. If it cannot hold $100, okay, and somehow we break below 100, expect that gap to start to get filled about halfway to 90 and then turn 100 into a rejection. Okay. So what I'm saying here is pick up the dips. These are opportunities, but also understand that even if you pick up the 100 dip, be also prepared to pick up that full gap fill dip down to 83 and 80. Okay. That would be a retest. It would fill that full gap. And then we can take it back up there. Right. So I'm not going to go too much in depth about really, it's got to go to level, but you may be looking at this saying, well, Brian, I see all these other gaps down here. Are you saying that it's going to eventually be back at 30 at some point in time, which people don't expect. But right now we just take it from level to level. Right. So here's that first break. It bounced at 63. There's buyers, went higher. Here's that pullback, ideally to 100 and ultimately to 80 or 83, and then take it back up. Okay. And it would look something like this. Okay. As long as that defense news doesn't continuously affect Palantir over the long term. All right. So that being said, hopefully this helps you a little bit, not being too concerned about Palantir, about levels. If you like more diligent levels and you'd like us to get ahead of these things of when they're going to happen, please join the Discord. We'd love to have you inside. You can see here on our trading floor, we're chatting all about it because we were looking at it. You can see here, right? One of our community members said, hey, doggone Palantir, we called the drop at 125, Dr. B. And I said, yep, there it is, right? How long do you think it will go? I said 110, then 100, right? And it's going right to 100 after hours. A couple others. I had a Palantir put for Friday, but closed it. Should have been up $1,300. Do you see here? Like, this is a formula. Out of nowhere news, RSI over 80 plus. Don't know when that drop will happen, but it's all adding up that eventually it will. Okay. So I was looking at the 100 put for, I'll show you how much money that would have been. Okay. I was looking at the 100 put buying time, and I told the community this. I personally did not enter because I was looking for maybe one more confirmation, and the news just happened. I couldn't even, it was just like a falling knife out of nowhere. It literally happened within the last hour of the market. So this 100 put I was looking at the beginning of this week. I'll show you how much it was at the beginning of the week. Okay. And this is into March, right? So this is buying time, as we call it. That 100 put right here was $126. Okay, $126. It went to 500, and that's a month out, right? Already 100+%. Now, if you, one of our community members, what he was talking about is, do you see these? These were 1,000% on your money, 700% on your money, 400% on your money, 900% on your money. Like, you're turning $50, $10, $20 into thousands of dollars with one contract, right? But it takes due diligence, right? I've been studying Palantir, and I study my watch list to see if I see any overextended stocks, oversold stocks, right? One that I'm looking at right now that's a little bit oversold is this Merck, okay? Just kind of give you a little hint. Do you see this same thing, but in the opposite direction? Overdone, overcooked on a daily, a weekly, and close to a monthly, right? So it's almost ready to be bought up, and I'm already seeing buyers stepping back up, and look at that green starting to come back up there. All right. So if that helped you out, please let me know down in the comments if you learned something. If you're buying Palantir, if you own Palantir shares, let me know down in the comments. We'd love to see new people inside of our Discord. Make sure you use the code FEB10, FEB as in boy, 10, get you 10% off for our university level on a monthly. All right. You also can pay for the year, and there it gives you that 10% off as well if you'd love to join us. All right. Peace, love, and blessings to you. We'd love to have you. And one little shout out for a community member today that I really wanted to shout out, which was shout out to Dreama. Okay. Shout out to Dreama. She had her first trade coming into the Discord, has been a long-term investor, but wanted to learn how to trade a little bit, make a little bit of extra money. And she made 45% on her money, right? This was a nice, easy IWM trade that I signaled inside the community, gave the full idea here. There's a big gap right there. I said 225 calls for Friday. She entered a 226, gave some options. Someone can go closer in the money if they want to, or closer expiration. Some people like to do 0-day expirations. So I do allow people to do that, but I'm always signaling safer trades that people can hold. And you see there what ended up happening right there, that big green bullish candle. So shout out to Dreama, shout out to our whole leverage community. Thank y'all so much for the support. We'd love to have you inside. I'll be doing another stock market boot camp very soon. Make sure you tap into the Discord. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share this out with anybody, and I'll talk to y'all in the next one. Peace.